Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for tuning on in. This is awesome. We have the pre-playoffs recap with me, your host, Fortrixel, and we're going to be covering right now the top 8 teams that are looking to impress and address some of the potential doubt, even though they're coming away with a first seed in their group. But here we go. We got to start off with number 8. It's going to be Hyped Esports. Super strong roster. Estrella and Co. Just blemishes from losses on maps, not necessarily series. Their one series loss was the forfeit, but I still got to give it to them. A top 8 spot within the top 10 teams that were coming out of groups. They definitely look like still a team that could turn on the Jets at any given moment, but they did have cracks when Flow Elite faced them, and so those 3-2 wins, they're not as convincing, but at the same time, I know that sometimes they don't try as hard when it comes to group stage matches, and that they really turn on things when it actually matters come playoff time, come an elimination match if there happens to be one for them, if they get dropped down to losers from winners. So we will see, but I expect them to come out full force come playoff time with being a top 8 team for sure. Now looking at your 7th strongest team, and coming out of the group stage, you're looking over at the side of Dynasty Gaming. They performed fairly straightforwardly in groups. They did have a real loss, 3-0 to Outlaw goes crazy, and I feel like that's the blemish that sort of maybe breaks the camel's back, or last straw, or is the last straw for this team. Potentially we might start to see them unravel a little bit come group side of things, or come playoffs, come early rounds when they face stronger teams within the top 10 teams, or at least all the first seeds. But for the most part, I feel like they deserve a top 8 spot based off of some of the gameplay I've witnessed from them as a team. You're looking at Xe, V2, VT2, Plasma, Shufi. They're all very strong players. I know Xe, I've seen him for quite a while. He's been on my radar. I saw him a bit in Modern Warfare. Been a strong name in the small, in this third or second tier AM scene. So I'm hoping that he can work well with this roster to continue to look to provide their fans, their friends, with strong gameplay and strong placements come playoff time. Now that's your 7th strongest team here. You're ranked 7th in the top 8 teams here. We're looking over at number 6. It's going to be Ats Gaming. I know a few people coming over from ALG that are fans of mine, fans of ADS. They're definitely wondering, why am I underrating this team at a 6th rated spot? But I can assure you guys, when you see the other teams in the top 8, 5th to 1st, when you see their records coming out of groups, as well as you see some of the names that play for them, you should be able to accept my decision here with a 6th place finish. I feel like ADS Gaming also gave away a lot of maps. The 5 maps across the 6 games that they played, they shouldn't have. We know that they're better than that. I know that they're better than that. And that's those cracks in the armor there. That is why they got 6th and they didn't make it within the top 5. But nonetheless, they have what it takes. Playoff time, teams should not underestimate them. Any of the teams in the top 5, if they come across them, don't underestimate them. Play them at your best. Give them your all, because I've seen them upset teams in the past near the top with them, just a bit above them, like in ALG, where ADS Gaming shocked and awed Zelos GG with a 3-0 that people just did not see coming. And they have that potential. So we'll see if they're going to be able to do something like that to maybe break into the top 4 and or win the entire competition. It's a big, tall order. It's a tall task ahead of them. But with a top 6 being the 6th best team right now, in my eyes, it's still potentially doable there. Now, looking at the other teams, we got ourselves the 5th strongest team. It's going to be Ragers Esports. So Ragers Esports, they did a wonderful job topping their group. doing it with a strong amount of ease. But I feel like the one team that nearly had them twice, Mafia Rulivar, that's, you can't be throwing 3-2s to a team that's unknown like that. They might be a LATAM team, or some team somewhere else that's using a Get Good host or something to play in these, but and they could be good in whatever region they're from, if they're LATAM or not. But you just can't, when you have teams in this league like Voltage, like Hyped, like 410, like I could keep naming a few other teams. You need to be stepping it up, and you did just that in groups. That earned you the top 5 spot here in the top 8 teams breakdown. So congratulations to you guys. You fought hard and you've earned this 5th spot, but you need to clean the things up if you want to try to get a top 4 placement come playoff time, and it's make a deep run as well. Obviously, your team has what it takes. It's just making sure you're there on the day of. And massive shout outs to Doc, Stim, Bolt, and Pures, as well as Payne and Beezy on the bench. Wonderful work from them so far, but the job's not done, boys. Keep it rolling. And keeping it rolling we shall, as we get ready for, we're into that top 4 section here, and this is where you start to see those really heavy hitting teams start to come aboard here. Starting off here with Exalved in your 4th place spot. They were tied. They are tied technically with, when it comes to records, with their with the side of Lockout Gaming. But I feel like I gotta edge Lockout a little bit ahead of them. Not gonna talk too much about Lockout right now, but I gotta give Lockout a bit of an edge to them, based off of what I've witnessed firsthand here with Exalved. They were able to dumpster their group for the most part. Trevec Gaming taking them down both times 3-0. That's a 2nd seed coming out of their group, but to drop 2 maps to teams that weren't a 2nd seed or a 3rd seed coming out of your group, was a 3rd seed or a 4th seeded team out of your group, that's the small sloppiness, and that you'll be extremely punished if you had to play against stronger teams. And I feel like their group was fairly weak. I don't want to say underrated, but it just wasn't a very strong group. So they were pampered a little bit there. But we'll see come playoffs. Panda, Slime, Guru, J Money, they got to come together with Dubs and Fish if they have to sub in as well. And they got to come together as a unit if they want to secure a top 4 spot, like I have them predicted here. If they want to do that, if they want to come away with more than that, with a win, they got to really come together as a unit, and they got to topple some of the Titans above them here in this top 8 teams section. And so, speaking of some top Titans here, we're going to go up with number 3, and that's going to be the side of Lockout Esports, or Lockout Gaming, sorry. They looked very strong. They had a 3-0 win over Punk Esports and a 3-1 win over Punk Esports. Punk Esports definitely better than Trivec. There's not really much more I can do in terms of try to argue which team had a harder group. I feel like they dispatched harder competition with a better performance, with a strong performance as well, dropping 2 maps to 1 to Punk Esports and 1 to another team in their group. Nonetheless, still very strong, very, very strong work from Lockout. And so got to give them props where props is due there. And so that's what makes them just the 3rd seed, strong third strongest record, and the tied for 3rd strongest record out of all the teams in the first seeds in the top 10 as a whole, or in the top 8 as a whole. And then you got some familiar names there, Cloud and Lud. I saw them do strong things on the map. Defiant, Hodo, Conman, Crash. It's a really good roster, solid roster. And so it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to, keep a hold of a top 30 potential placement, or if they will falter and if they will fall behind behind a few of these other teams here. So looking at your second strongest team going into playoffs, it's going to be, guys, it's going to be 410, okay? If you wanted me to say Voltage and you wanted me to put 410 as the first, I'm sorry I failed you, but it's not really me. It's more your team. You know, 410, they're fantastic. You know, Jazer, Careless, Big Head, Precise, they're so strong. So strong of a roster. I feel like they have what it takes to even topple hyped esports. They even could potentially have what it takes to topple Voltage, but don't want to get ahead of myself here. Speaking about their group, just specifically their group, Lurk Official showed up. They show up as a team that I feel like could be, you know, a bit of a anomaly potentially. Though, and they took him down 3-0 twice. That was very, 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 very crystal clear that they are the top team in that group, without a doubt. And they dispatched Lurk Official twice, but they do lose one map in the mix of things. And, you know, and it could be maybe a forfeit. I would have expected it to be maybe a forfeit loss for some sort of GA breaking, or, you know, some sort of search and destroy like round 11 situation. But, you know, 410, they're a super strong team without a doubt. They have a strong fan base here in the league. They have strong, historically showing finishes within the league. So without a doubt, they've got to be that second strongest team here going into playoffs on my top 8 list out of all the first seeds, obviously. And the top team to look out for come playoff time, guys, no shocker here, pun intended, has to be Voltage. Juju's roster here with Juju, Nick Hate, Groovy, and Crisis. They've been teaming for a while. They dispatched and destroyed all the teams in their group. 3-0s, perfect execution, perfect performances, and, well, you can't ask for more than perfection. There's no extra step you could go with it all. After you've gotten perfection, they're immortal at the moment. It's going to be extremely interesting to see how long they can keep a map win streak of 18 in a row going come playoff time. I feel like that's what I'm going to be looking at the most, to see if they could keep that going and how long they'll stay, you know, map undefeated. But for now, I feel like they're definitely the favorite to win it all. I feel like they can win it all, and prediction-wise, they are my team to win it all. So we'll see if it comes to fruition. We'll see if some underdog action happens. You know, I feel like their biggest competition is going to be potentially the 8th and the second seed best teams here. You know, in the top 8 teams breakdown, you know, hyped and 410. But even with hype, they look a bit shaky, especially against that Flow Elite roster. And then a forfeit loss, you know, the lack of, you know, complete discipline at times. I've heard their listen-ins. I've done listen-ins with them a little bit. They're really jokes and fun roster, and obviously, you know, Voltage and them have had their fun as well within the league, you know, dispatching their team. So when they actually clash and they actually fight at top speed, at top tilt, so it'll be interesting. But I do have these guys at your number 1, your favorite to win the entire league. So let's see what happens. Let's see what comes to fruition. But thank you guys for checking out this section here in the pre-playoffs recap series. Thank you guys so much for tuning on. If you do like the content, please drop a like on the video. Please hit that subscribe button. Helps me a lot. And of course, guys, check me out on all my socials, YouTube and Twitch. Have Fortrixel as it. You guys know how to spell that. But thank you guys once again for tuning on in. It's been awesome having you guys. It's been 4T. We will be signing off for here.